Hey Nation, Harry here. I am in Scottsdale, Arizona at, I still can't tell if it's the second or third GlueX conference. I've heard both, but we are having fun at the Phoenician, probably one of the finest resorts I've been to all year. And I'm with David Robertson, the author of Brick by Brick, and you're also a college professor. And
that's right. Yep.
the book which I wrote about below deals with the Lego company, but I don't want to talk about that. They can read. What I want to talk about is an experience I've had as an entrepreneur in a predictive analytics startup in Seattle a couple years. I won't bore you with that, but I came away from that experience believing analytics is actually the enemy of innovation. That, you know, you're far more likely to come up with an innovation with Carlos Castaneda eating peyote on Mexican mountaintops than you are creating pivot tables in Excel. We'll edit that out for the children and women who are listening to this, but what do you think about that paradigm that analytics can be the enemy of innovation?
Yes and no. So I think that I'm a big believer in dating your customer, not fighting your competitor.
Okay.
Right? That what you want to do is really understand, you know, when you're dating somebody, you try to understand who they are and what they care about and what their hopes and dreams are.
Yep.
So that you can become a bigger part of their life. You know, that's the way we should think about innovation, is dating our customer, not fighting our competitor.
Okay.
And so analytics teaches us a lot about what we've done in the past.
Correct.
Right? It's a rear view mirror on our business.
It is.
And and I think it's a wonderful way of testing. Like, once we've got an idea, should we do this? Right? Does it make sense? I think that you want to test it. But like Steve Jobs said, you know, people don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Yeah.
And everybody has said that, but everybody forgets the second part of that, which is that's why we don't use focus groups to design our next generation of product.
Yeah.
Right? That you know, what he was saying is that Apple does a tremendous amount of analytical testing of product proposals, but what they don't do is go to their customers and ask them to create the next generation of the product.
Right.
That comes from dating the customer.
That's a really good way to put it.
Not any kind of retrospective analytical exercise.
Yep. And along those lines, let's talk about dating dogs, okay? Because there's a famous saying about that
I have no experience, but thank you.
But, you know, the famous story is the scientists and the marketing people, they put together the best dog food of all, right? You know, the formulas, and they did all the testing, and talked to the dog owners, and guess what? The dogs didn't like the food.
Yeah, and you know, I heard a different version of the story, which may be also, you know, they may both be true.
Well, I heard this in a sermon at church.
Okay. The one I heard in business school was that they created this great dog food, and they tested it, and the dogs loved it. But the problem is, the stuff that dogs love, you know, think what dogs do when they meet other dogs, what parts they sniff. The stuff that they love smelled awful.
Yeah.
And so
the
people that actually bought the dog food didn't like it. And so they surveyed the wrong audience.
Yeah.
They got a dog food that dogs love, but dog owners didn't want in their house and didn't want to buy.
Yeah.
And so there is definitely, you know, a lesson there about, you know, make sure that you're really looking at all the different constituencies.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, you know, going back to this idea of innovating not inside the box or outside the box, but around the box, of taking your current product and really understanding what's going to make that product successful. You know, it's like that old saying that people don't want drills, they want holes.
Yeah.
And if people don't want holes, they want, you know, a way to hang a picture on a wall. And they don't want to hang a picture on a wall, they want their house to be more beautiful. Well, trying to understand what people are trying to do with your product. And then what are the other things that you need to make that product more compelling, useful, and valuable? That sometimes moves you to, you know, to really try and understand what these different products are, who you're selling them to, and maybe different parts of a company, and how you put the whole thing together. It's a different challenge.
Yeah.
That's what Lego learned, you know, is that they couldn't just offer a box of bricks. You know, they had to really be thinking about how do you make feature-length movies, ultimately.
Yeah, and you're actually answering my final question. Let's double-click down on Lego, even though I've kind of typed it up below, but what are a couple of quick takeaways from the Lego story, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so first is, you know, innovation inside the box of, you know, doing a slightly better next year what you did last year and what you did this year, right? Making your current products for your current customers incrementally better.
Yeah.
That's great, but sometimes that's not enough.
Right.
And so what companies often fall into is this trap of, well, then we need to do something big and disruptive and different. And that almost put Lego out of business.
Yeah.
You know, thinking outside the box almost put Lego out of business.
Okay.
What I argue for is kind of a third approach, which is not any better or worse than the others, but it's different, which is let's look at our current product. Let's honor that and respect it and realize that our customers that wanted it yesterday, that want it today, are also going to want it tomorrow, but it may not be enough to really differentiate us from the competition. And so let's understand what our customers are trying to do and what other services, what other products, what channels to market, what pricing plans, what else can we do to make those products more compelling and useful and valuable. That's what Lego learned. That's what it did so well, and that ultimately is what led to its turnaround.
Yeah, and I thought the way you connected the dots with the MSP, so thank you for the custom speech. I realize you give a lot of keynotes, and clearly you're prepared to connect the dots for MSPs in terms of the, quite frankly, the reinventing we have to do from the old server-side days to cloud days, now automation and beyond, right? I mean, it's, boy, it's not for the faint of heart. Hey, quickly, what are the names of the two books you mentioned that you wrote?
So the first book was Brick by Brick, which was about the Lego turnaround. And then I was doing something like this, and somebody asked me, well, you know, Lego was almost bankrupt. They had the luxury of a crisis, and a crisis is a marvelous focusing mechanism to get people to think differently. And what do we do if we don't have a crisis? And so then I wrote the second book, which is called The Power of Little Ideas, and that was how would you do what Lego did in your company? And it's illustrated with companies that aren't Lego, right? Companies like Sherwin-Williams was an example I presented today, who use the same approach to innovation successfully to succeed in their markets.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to challenge you to a race. We're going to see if I can take this to post-production and edit before you get on the plane at the airport. So here we go. All right, thanks, David.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.